Okay, I think I got... Wait, where the fuck am I? Hello?
Oh, you died.
Hello?
Oh, no.
Hello? Oh my god, hold on. Wait. No, my audio is lagging. Hold on. Chat, we are fucked up right now. Chat, we are... Oh, it's because I know what I did. I know what I did. I did a boof. I did a boof. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna be quiet for like 3 seconds. I think you can... Hold on. Wait. No. I'm testing my audio. You don't see it, but I'm testing... Watch this. I'm testing my audio. Okay, hold on. I am a very experienced streamer. I swear to God, I know what I'm doing. I promise, okay? You just have to trust me. Oh, we're missing something. What? Oh, that's not what we were missing. That's not what we were missing. Hold on. Wait, am I muted? No, I'm not. Do not gaslight me. OBS says I'm talking. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Don't gaslight me. We are missing. We are missing. Oh no, I think maybe he's over here. Is he over here?
Where am I? Let me out. Let me out.
There you are. Are you? Where do you want to be today? By the way,
I don't know.
Do you want to be on my head?
Sure.
Do you want to be in my titties?
Yes.
Sussy.
Don't give the option. Don't want me to take it.
I just kind of wanted to see what you said, but you know what? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So welcome in, gamers. Hello, everybody. We are back, me and David, your favorite power couple. Yeah, I did offer. But welcome in, everyone, your favorite power couple, your Mima, your Peepaw, your, your favorite, I don't even know what people like refer to us as like so many different things. Like David. We have David. Mew. That's
Whoa.
you. That's so crazy. But we are gonna be playing some New Vegas today. Let me make sure the game isn't ass loud. I usually have time to test everything before stream, but today I did not. So let's see. Can you hear Jetmir, by the way? Jetmir is losing his shit. I don't know what's going on.
I think he's just upset that the world exists.
You know what? He just like me. Also, I think I fixed hold on. Let's see if we fixed the audio. Because if you remember last time we played this, the dialogue was not working. No! Okay, sorry.
Oh, is it still not working?
No, I think that's because I accidentally muted the game. Hold up.
Oh.
I also had to change some of my audio settings. That might be why. Let me go... Because I can't hear anything. So that might be why. Let me go main menu. Why'd the sound just go... Did I mute the fucking game? Am I stupid? Am I a dummy? Am I a dumb doo-doo head? Oh, wait.
Possible.
Hold on. I hear something. Here we go. Let's do this button. Oh, there we go. Okay. Alright. Let's go. So, there's sound now. And if there's not, I will simply be so loud... I will be the sound. Well, actually, last time, David and I read all the dialogue, which was pretty cool. But welcome in, everybody. Hello, Corgan. Hello, Aqua, hello, Boundary. Hello, Rune. Hello, Yankees. Hello, everybody. I apologize if I missed anybody. But, welcome in. So, continue from my last save game. Yes. I didn't see the text, dead ass. I was like, okay, hold on. I have to talk to someone. Hello? What? Okay, this is weird. It was like, I tested it before I started streaming. And it was fine. I don't know what happened. I'm kind of pissed about it, low-key. Because I'm like, what? It literally... Oh, did I turn off the dialogue volume? Hold on. Audio. Yeah, voice. That's so weird. Sugar bombs and brown milk and a cold sunset sarsaparilla. I'm sorry, Frostbite. I see you. Hi, Doran. Hi, Jingle. I'm sorry. I'm blind. So, let me go here. And then, is there, like, any sound? That is so weird. Because there was sound in the screen. Let me try, like, that's so... bizarre. What the fuck? Oh, bye, Ryan. Thank you so much for watching the VODs, though. I appreciate it. I don't know why game is just not working. I'm sorry. Okay, I can't. Is it? What if I turn it to this one? Maybe that's why it wasn't working. Let me see. I'm pressing buttons. I can't like. Is it? Hello? No. That's so bizarre because we had a main menu audio and then it was just gone. I'm gonna try restarting the game real quick. But anyway, well, 10 jump. Can I make David do the jumping jacks while I try to troubleshoot while the game isn't like eating ass? Is that allowed? Can I make David do jumping jacks? Can I'll ask before I commit, but I want to see pump the iron. All right, David, get out there, bud.
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out how to fix your problem too. Give me 1 second.
10 jumping jacks. We don't have time for that. You have to be 10 jumping jacks. Pump the iron, David. Pump the iron.
Hold on, I think I know.
What was it, David?
I know how to fix it.
How do we fix it?
Close the game.
Okay. Can we fix it? No, the fuck we can't.
Right,
okay.
Open system preferences.
System preferences. Thank you for your patience, gamers. I literally just was like, yeah, I check everything 2 hours before stream. I'm always ready to go. And the one time I didn't have time to do that. Yeah, Jetmir is also having a time. Where's my system preferences?
Go to sound.
Sound. Okay.
Then you need... Here, can I have the mouse?
Yeah. All right, well, we have to do 5 each. So while you do that, I'm going to do my fucking jumping jacks. Ignore me. Okay. David's just gonna... Jetmir, get out of the way. Mommy's pumping iron. Mommy's pumping iron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I did my time. Okay. So, let's see.
Hold on, let me double check. I forgot you're running Windows 11.
Girl, I forget I'm running Windows. Oh, now it's broken because I fucking... Hello? Hello? VTube Studio lost me because I got him. Hello? I think it's now tracking David, which is hilarious. Hold on. Let me read. David, can you scooch out the way real quick? Aha! Okay, there we go. Okay, you can come back now. If my tracking looks wonky today, it's because David is next to me. I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just said it fast, okay? I'm not a liar, okay? I'm not, all right? What's the stitch, David? What's the stitch?
Go back to the system settings.
Okay.
All sound devices.
Yes.
Then your headphones.
I think I'm using... I don't know why there's 2 of them.
Why are there 2?
I don't know. We have for this, it's set as
Gaslight,
Geek, that's the one
girl boss.
that works for some fucking reason. Wolfie, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. You know, Gaslight, Gatekeep, Girl Boss. I'm troubleshooting my audio. Because Fallout New Vegas broke for some reason. Oh, thank you for the sub, gamer. You get a PlayStation 2. Congratulations. Thank you for your patience. I believe. Hi, Jillian. Welcome in. You may not be a liar, but you do get wenches impregnated. That's just part of my brand, bro. Like, that's just my thing. You know?
You gotta stop doing that.
No! I will keep getting wenches pregnant. Well, while we're waiting, here, let me, because David, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put us back over here. Because, David, I don't know if you realize this. Chad is just sitting here in complete silence, so you do your thing. But I'll put the background music back on, because Chad's just sitting here like...
Yeah.
Okay, you do your thing now, David. But anyway, while Dave is being smart, I'm going to be stupid. How are we doing today? How is your weekend going? I almost went to an Amish market today, but I didn't, and I'm kind of upset about it. But I went to my old, like... hometown today, and it was very bizarre. I'm gonna be real with you. It was very like weird because in my old hometown, okay, it's like I lived in like middle of fucking nowhere, right? I grew up in absolute bum fuck nowhere, okay? And we had like a legitimate butcher shop. And the butcher shop would sell, like, they sold, like, all kinds of stuff that was, like, pre-made, like, salads and shit, and, like, baked goods and whatnot, and it was really, really good. But it was, like, the place where everyone from my high school worked, and I went there with my little sister, and my little sister just graduated high school, as many of you know. Very proud of Eebee, too. But fucking, I went there, I didn't know nobody, and it felt weird, because that was such, like, a defining part of my, of my like life was like going there and like seeing people and being afraid I was gonna see people, and it was like bizarre. But I got a cheesecake and that was really good. I want to fix something. I want to fix my mouth open sensitivity too real quick. Here's the little behind the curtain. Ignore the fact that I have no torso. We don't need to talk about that. Where's the button? But yeah, if you're curious, this is what it looks like, the VTuber shit, what we used to like.
You not know that
shit.
sucking my dick
my
is a
face.
serious offense?
Whoa.
Fuck you!
Oh, mommy, thank you so much for the $5. Been watching you on.
Been watching you a lot on TikTok. First time I've seen you recommended on Twitch. Also, I feel you on being from the middle of nowhere. And from a town of 120 XD.
Is it making my mouth open more? Wait, is more sensitivity the one that makes it open more or not?
Okay, hold on. I found a post.
Maximum sensitivity. I'm so sensitive. I cry so easily. But thank you, Gabe. I really appreciate that. I think that's what I want. I don't know. And now my eyes are like, huh. Okay, I think I fixed it. I don't know. Anyway, what's the stitch?
Fix for the audio thing. Let me try one more thing, and if it doesn't work,
poggers. Okay.
We'll voice it over ourselves.
What's the deal?
Here.
Try it. I can imagine David as Mr. Mom with all your Skyrim kids. Well, yeah, I'm a deadbeat dad. Like, David has straight up said, even in real life, I'm a deadbeat dad. I don't pay child support. I feel like I shouldn't just say that on the internet, actually.
Probably not.
I think Ceci makes it open wider for a little. I don't know what words mean. But with Jetmir, David covers like all the shit for Jetmir being alive, and I'm just like there, you know. Sometimes I just go out for milk and I never come back, you know. So let's see if this works. But apparently this is a common thing with Fallout New Vegas and like streaming it. I've seen we have horses in our town. We had horses too. We had it was like they weren't like comes out of context for me to post 10 years from now. God bless you. God bless Wolfie. No, but we have like okay, yeah, we weren't like Kentucky yee yee. I live in like Maryland. That's like you are aware that's not yee yee, that's yee haw. Okay, that is yee haw. But we had this little stable where they had like horses and stuff, and we would go up and we would like feed the horses, and then we got yelled at for feeding the horses, and I think one of the horses died actually, but that has nothing to do with me. No, I'm joking. But we did feed the horses like carrots and shit, but they did like no horses died. I'm being facetious, but yeah, we got yelled at for feeding the horses, but we didn't know. We were like 5, okay? What kind of fucking cousin Yee towns are you from? Eebee killed a horse as a kid? No, I did not, okay?
Okay,
so,
I don't know how to fix this with Windows 11.
We're gonna try our best.
I can fix it for Windows XP through 10.
I did kill it. I'm just pissed because, like, I literally checked everything beforehand. I opened the game and I was like, great, it's working. And then I pressed go live, and it stops working. Okay, I'm gonna try something one more time because my mouth tracking is bothering me. Let me do this.
The other suggestion people are saying is to just delete all the sound files.
How the fuck do I do that?
You go into the files and find the audio folder and click delete.
What?
And then to verify
the audio folder? Oh, there we go. Now my mouth is moving. Okay, do we want to do that? Chat, what do we do? Do we go through and try to delete the audio folder, or do we say fuck it? Well, let's try it first. Maybe you fix it. Who knows? We're gonna press button and we're gonna see what happens. Girl boss gatekeep I dated a guy that had beef with horses. Well, actually, no, I've told that story before. About my ex-boyfriend who punched a police horse in Philadelphia. That was weird. He was a weird dude. Hope he's doing okay though. Is it wise to let Eebee into audio files? No. No. So I'm opening the game. We're gonna see what happens. To be fair, it can't even horse. That was his defense. Is like he was like, well, the horse was a cop, and I'm like, I don't think the horse chose to be a cop. I don't think the horse was like in on that, you know? Okay, yeah, there's no fucking sound. I don't know what's up. Like now, there's just no fucking sound. What the fuck?
It's been a long tour.
What'd you say, David? You made
All I can think about now is going back home.
What do you think?
Alt-tab.
Alt-tab.
Right-click the
right-click.
Icon.
Watch, it was
That's not what I wanted you to do.
Wait, you guys hear sound in the game? Hold on, let me check something. I want to use my eyeballs. Wait, they hear sound. We don't.
Okay, I don't know what's going on.
Let me do this. Hold up. I think I have an idea. I'm gonna change this to be this, and then do you still hear? No, that's
well,
weird.
The game's closed. Is it still making sound?
Let me do this. it's making sound on the game end, but not on our end, which is very bizarre. You ain't a cowboy till a horse rides you. Okay,
Well,
what was it in?
Here, can I?
Yes. But that's weird. Things keep getting weirder. Country couriers make do. I don't know. I like my mom. I love my mom so much, but she has a very thick Southern accent. And sometimes she'll like make fun of other Southern people, and I think it's really funny. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, let's see. David's looking at things. He's looking at things. That's so weird that you guys hear it and we don't. We all tab, so if you stop hearing it, that's why. What if my headphones got turned off or something? Hold on. Turn off my headphones, turn them back on. If all I had to do was turn it off. I hear it!
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Wait, did you hear that?
Yeah!
The fact that the first thing you heard was the nuclear winter line is hilarious. I was just about to give up.
Did you guys hear the nuclear winter? Did you hear nuclear winter? What do you mean Eevee noises?
That was a lot of Eevee noises.
Oh no. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, it's time for nuclear winter with Eevee Games!
No.
Yay!
It's so hot that it makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Oh.
Yeah,
well,
no, we're not in a nuclear winter.
Don't yell at my dog! What the fuck? Okay, game. Fallout New Vegas. Put the game back where it came from, or so help me. Hi!
When I got this assignment, I was hoping there'd be more gambling.
Oh my god, we got it! Okay.
Oh, thank God.
It's working. Alright, so, everyone, welcome! After, oh my god, 20 minutes. Thank you for your patience. Holy shit. Welcome to Fallout New Vegas. David, how do I show the people my character? He's got a tight ass. Wait, what the fuck? Oh. Whoa.
I forget if it's hold down F or V in this game.
F. Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to Big Man Pingus's Power Hour, baby.
I forgot
this
that
is...
you were neon pink Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, it's Big... No, that's not Abe Lincoln. That's Big Man Pingus. That's Big Man Pingus.
Yes, famous president.
Pingus.
Big Man Pingus.
Big Man Pingus. It's not an Eevee stream unless there's scuff or nudity.
Sometimes
Hello.
there's both.
Sometimes there's both. Who the fuck's talking to me? Hello?
I'm not sure you should be here.
Shut up. Okay, anyway. So, let's go outside. Hi, Keyshawn. Is that Abraham Lincoln? No, it's Big Man Pingus. It's Pingus, okay? Okay, so, what the fuck is going on, David?
I forgot what we were doing. It's been so long. We haven't done this in
Do you remember that TikTok of the girl where she's going like, wait, hold on, I have to grab my Starbucks for this. The fucking, like, here's the motherfucking tea. Do you remember that?
I do.
I think that's like how we're introducing this stream. What is the tea today, David? So, how do I see which quest I have enabled?
Yeah,
do I not have a quest?
None of them selected.
I have no quest.
There will be a square next to the one that you choose.
So, which one? Okay. So, David informed me that there is a woman I can potentially... What if I just left it there? Just like, David informed me there is a woman. Like,
That's
what
it.
if that was it? Yeah. Like,
Well, you didn't know.
we have a woman. Rose! Thank you so much for the 3 months. 3 PlayStations gamer. Welcome to woman. That's not what I...
Okay, so anyway.
Anyway, thank you for Cat Gamer. Yeah, we actually had a team joining the Eevee stream. So, do we want to go seduce an alcoholic?
You're not really seducing an alcoholic as much as you're asking her not to punch you in the throat.
I mean, where I'm from, we call that seducing.
Okay, well, you know.
Alcoholic waifu.
That's the wrong place.
Oh, okay. Okay. Before we do anything else, I want to deal with the alcoholic waifu. Okay, David, do I have Riz?
No.
Okay, anyway, David is wrong. We will disregard all his opinions going forward.
You might want to go talk to Cass. She's in the bar.
It says go this way.
I don't know why it's telling you that. You might want to go get
Well,
Cass.
maybe she went a different way.
Oh, no, I know why it's telling you to do that. It's
She's drinking bro, I would drink my sorrows up here.
It's trying to take you to the Crimson Caravan.
What the fuck is that?
If you talk to her, you'll understand. Well, we already did talk to her, and you should understand.
I forgot.
She's part of a caravan that is stopped in the Mojave Outpost.
But no, you didn't say it the way you...
Mojave Outpost.
The Mojave Outpost.
And she can't leave while she still has her caravan papers, so she wants you to get rid of them from the Crimson Caravan. You can go talk to her and take her with you now.
David, do you think I have aught triz,
You have no Riz under any circumstance.
I gave it my best shot, Chad. I'm sorry. Okay, wow. Oh, fuck. I have a gun. Okay, hold on. I forgot gun. Hold on.
You might not want to walk right towards that.
Why?
Because it's going to lead... You know what? If you want to walk straight towards it, be my guest.
Why are you being ominous?
It's a rite of passage.
I don't want a rite of passage.
You might want to see where it's leading you.
That way.
You ever thought about checking your map?
Oh! I forgot I had a map. Deadass. Okay, hold on.
Pip-Boy.
Pip-Boy. Okay, map. What's wrong with going that way?
Well, keep going. That's not where it ends. So,
neutral. It says neutral.
Yeah.
That means a potential friend.
So that place is neutral. What about every location along that line?
Let's see.
What about the ones
Goodspeaks likes me, yeah.
The ones you haven't discovered yet.
Vilified.
The ones you haven't discovered yet.
Ah.
Do I tell her about what's in that canyon?
What's in the canyon?
I don't know if I should tell you or if I should just let you find
What is this, though? Who's, like, fucking with me? Who's got problems with me? Where? Oh, shit, you motherfucker. Ah! What the fuck are you doing? What is my weapon? Wait, what is this?
A grenade launcher.
Oh! I didn't get it! Ah!
You know, grenades at close range.
But I what?
Yeah, but you crippled yourself.
But I won. A small price to pay for salvation, my good bitch.
Hey, you know, there's another one. All right.
Yay!
All right, so I'm gonna tell you this. I could allow you to do what you want to do and haze yourself and watch you suffer.
Hazing's bad. That's
Hazing
illegal.
In some places.
Are you implying that this stream is just one big fraternity?
No. Unless, I'm talking about the ritual of playing Fallout New Vegas.
Oh.
Or you could choose another quest.
But I wanted woman.
Okay, all right, have fun.
Okay. Well, maybe we won't want woman. Maybe we'll want woman later.
Those top 3 are not DLC, and I would not go into the DLC again. So I would choose from the top 3. But I'm going to tell you this: the direct route to Vegas.
I want to go to Vegas, baby.
Not great.
Oh. In that case, what do you think I should do, David? I will let you give me advice one time.
Well, you could go back to Prim. You did just get Myers a pardon.
Is there a quest for that?
It's my kind of town.
Okay, let's do that one, okay? Alright.
Not Black Mountain. We're not going to Black Mountain.
What's a Black Mountain?
We'll get there eventually.
What's a Black Mountain, chat? Huh? Okay, wait, this way.
You can fast travel to Prim.
Oh! Okay. I was really about to walk my happy ass all the way over there. Okay, where's Prim? Oh, here. Ta-da! A carnival filled with fun time. Oh, I like the carnival. I like that.
Black
Okay.
Mountain.
Tumbleweed!
And here we go. I'm gonna remind you of this before you blow yourself up. Change your weapon.
Oh. Okay. What is that noise? It's like that's what it sounds like right now. I don't know why.
Just so chat knows, I don't have headphones, so anything audio, I'm not able to help.
I can make the sounds for you.
No.
Machine gun. Yay. Okay. It reminds me of like a Katamari. I recently played the new Katamari on Switch. Okay, what are we doing? I didn't take my ADHD meds today, by the way.
I know. You need to go talk to Myers.
Where's that? This way?
One of the quest markers.
Why is there 2?
Because you have 2 options.
What are my options? I didn't read.
You should read.
Oh, okay. Quests. Return to Myers and let him know that NCR has pardoned him and he can take over as sheriff. Beagle wants to do sheriff for Prim. Yeah, I guess we'll go to Myers. Did you ever sort out your ADHD med situation? Kind of. They didn't get me back on my meds, but I'm now just taking a higher dosage of the med they let me stay on. So I was on 2 meds originally that were like different, and now I'm just on different meds.
The one you're facing is the one you want.
Oh, that's right there. Okay, cool. Okay, Wahoo! Oh, is fall damage a thing?
Yes, and it's in the town.
Oh, okay. Up the hill.
Oh my god, Eebee.
What? What's the problem, big man? You got a problem with me?
Are there any thoughts up there?
No?
No.
You got a problem with that? You got a problem with
Can't
that?
go that way.
Oh, what? Can't go this way?
You gotta go back across the bridge.
Huh?
You gotta get on the bridge you jumped off of, and you gotta go across it.
Why wouldn't you let me jump off a bridge? This is like the opposite, you know, like if you
also,
jump,
you're approaching
yeah,
from the
you know the thing your mom always said, it was like, well, if so and so jumped off a bridge, would you do it? I'm the bitch that's jumping off the bridge.
Oh, I didn't realize you could come in from this side. Okay, that's cool.
I'm hitting it from the back. What, David? What? What?
Yep.
I lost my tumbleweed.
You lost it a while ago.
No, but I found it and then I lost it again. Wait, is that a dead person? Oh no, that's just a guy.
Don't put your gun away.
How do I do that?
Hold R. Same as Skyrim.
No more gun. Hi, Anna. Welcome in, gamer. I like your cowboy hat.
Thanks for getting me that pardon. Me and the boys will take good care of
Me and the
Prem.
boys.
Don't you worry.
See, there you go. You completed. It only took half an hour, but you talked to a man.
I'm really bad at that. My track record of talking to men and women. It doesn't matter what gender. I'm bad at talking to everybody. Who's in charge of the powder gangers?
Right now,
leveled
Eddie
up?
and his boys run the place. They've got the guns and the dynamite, so they call the shots.
I don't have anything. Let me do this
What?
real quick. Watch yourself out there. Okay, I put all my points. I'm gonna lower the volume in a second of the voices and stuff now that it's broken. Or it's fixed. I just randomly got it and I love that because it's nice. I'm gonna put my points in sneak, medicine. Oh, there it is. Gun.
You've
Yay!
almost maxed out gun.
Yeah, so I've been dumping all my skill points into gun. I hope that's a good strat, but no one said it's not so far. So, confirmed bachelor. 10% damage against male opponents. You'll sometimes. Oh yeah, I want to be. Oh yeah, I'm a confirmed bachelor. Where are the ladies at? Where are the women? Okay, hold on. I want to fix something because my model, low key, I'm still tweaking with my like tracking, and part of it might be because of like David being
me
here.
being here probably is not.
But I look high as shit right now,
You're
and it's really funny to me. Look, like, bro, I look so like. I'm opening now. It's just closing my eyes. Open. Oh, the reoccurring sound sounds so fucking cursed. Okay, hopefully that's better. I'm not high right now, and I don't want you guys to think that I'm high. I don't do weed. I had a dream the other night. So weed's legal in Maryland now, right? Oh, I have to pick a new quest to do. Hold on.
Yeah, what are you doing now? What do you want to do?
This one. They went that way. I want to find the men that tried to kill me. Hi, Moon Dogs. Welcome in, gamer.
Okay, so I want you to head to Novak through Nipton, okay? Through Nipton.
I don't know what those words mean,
All right,
bestie.
okay.
Give me a visual. Where are we going?
Okay, where is it leading you?
This is me.
Yeah.
This is
That's the wrong way.
the wrong way. This way. Can I
That's
fast
it.
travel to Nipton?
You've been to it. This is where you killed that guy wearing a dog for a
Oh
hat.
yeah, I did do that. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I was the same way, Frostbite. When I was in high school, all the stoners were friends with me because they thought I was also a stoner, and then they asked me if I smoked weed, and I said no, and they were like, huh? And I was like, no, I don't smoke weed, and they're like, so you're just like that? And I was like,
Somehow.
yeah. Yeah. But yeah, they made weed legal in Maryland. And I had this dream the other night that like I went to go buy weed, and the way I went about it is I literally walked up to the counter, slapped $20 on the table, and went, hello, sir. I'd like one of your finest weeds, please. And then I got kicked out, and then I woke up.
Yeah,
So,
you get your shit slapped.
is that not how you buy weed?
Nah,
How do you buy weed, David?
like not a weirdo.
What does that mean?
Okay, so think about how you act normally. Do none of that. And emulate a normal person.
I'd like to use my credit card. What's this red thingy? Oh, traffic cone. That's not a traffic cone!
Oh, it's a off chance that you would like walk a little too close. The fact that you were just like, hello, traffic.
I see. Well, David knows. I do this in real life. I'll see something and I'll be like, ooh, a thing, kick, and I like to kick things because it's fun. And do you want to tell the story of how I kicked? You know what I'm talking. Do you want to tell that story?
So,
Go ahead, David. Go ahead.
You eat your Brahmin steak. Eebee and I we were coming back from a date, and we were in front of her parents' house, and we're saying goodbye, and she was very happy.
Yeah.
And so we're going, and they're just like, that was a really good time. Ooh, a rock, kick, and then it jumped, and I'm like, I think that was a frog, and they screamed.
I screamed very loudly. Where was the other one?
Yeah. So pro tip.
What was that?
And so ends the run of Thingus. Yes, Lagwolf, I do.
I did kick a frog, but it was on accident. I didn't mean to. I thought it was a rock.
Okay, so why don't you go back
Yeah, that was karma.
Why don't you go back to Nipton, and we can try again.
Okay.
And this time, you know about the things.
Okay. I'm ready. I'm sorry, Froggy. It was like 8 years ago.
It was like 6 or 7 years ago.
I'm gonna be a good noodle, okay? I'm gonna be a good noodle.
You were on the right track. You were going down the right road.
Okay, I'm gonna watch where I'm going. What happened to this guy?
You killed him.
Oh, okay.
That was you. You did that.
Why? Why did I do that?
Because they were mean to you. You didn't like it, so you shot all of them.
Oh, that seems reasonable. Okay.
Well, you know.
So, can I shoot the landmines and make them explode from a distance?
I don't know. Why don't you find out?
You sound like a middle school science teacher, and I'm not about it.
With your limited ammo.
Oh, so I should go around them.
You can also deactivate them if you activate them fast enough.
How do I do that?
You just walk up to it and press the activate button.
Alright, I'm looking. See that? No, I didn't kick the frog. Is that one of them?
No, that's a reflective strip.
What does that mean?
You know on highways how sometimes there's like little reflective like flicker tape in the middle?
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Oh, that makes sense. Hi, Neil. Welcome.
Also,
I'm going to try to disarm them, but we'll see.
Just so chat's aware, if I say I don't know, I do know. I just want her to find out.
I don't want to have a critical thinking learning moment. I want all the answers immediately.
You gotta use your brain eventually.
I don't want to. Okay, bad traffic.
Gaslight,
what happens?
gatekeep, girl
Thank you for
boss.
the follow, Neil. You're not gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. Congratulations. Hi. Okay, I don't know why I did that, by the way. That was just okay. Can I? Wait. What's that guy doing?
I don't know. Is it maybe he's a red tick marker on your compass?
Oh.
Do you think maybe this convenient valley path is maybe a place for an ambush?
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
You think maybe you dying the first time had something to do with that?
Do I have a long range weapon?
You can scroll.
I don't think what service rifle. That's like no, that's not fat. That's not far. Single shotgun. Well, this one might. Let me see. I kind of want to get a Steam Deck, low key, but I don't know if it's worth it. All my gamers that have Steam Decks. Do you guys like them? Do you guys like them? Because I've been hearing about it, and I kind of want to like maybe get one day. Because I've been really enjoying gaming on my Switch. I don't know if it's worth
quick
it.
save with F5.
Oh.
You missed.
Aim for the head.
Yeah.
I don't think I have the range.
It might have something to do with that. Also, remember, guns have spread.
Oh, they just walked away. I think they just nay-nayed me. Like, I think they just saw me and was like, wow, what a dumb bitch, and just walked away. Hey, what's going on over here?
Blue Star bottle cap.
Okay, Sunset
You
Sarsaparilla.
did take an empty bottle.
That's okay. Oh, yeah, there is a blue... Wait. Bottle cap. Oh, there we go. Okay.
You just found a Blue Star bottle cap.
Anything else there? Gun cabinet. Yeah. I don't need the extra... Well, no, I can repair my other gun with that. I think I am overweight now, though.
You are cucumbered.
No! Okay. Let me do this real quick. How do I...
Picked up a cowboy repeater.
I did, and I can combine them. How do I do that? R, that's right.
While hovering the... Not that one, the other one.
Okay.
Or not. I guess it didn't end up mattering in the end.
Huh. Okay. And my weight is good again. Can I combine anything else? I'm just looking. No, I think we're okay. Okay. Alright, let's keep going. Oh, they're there again.
So when you...
Hi!
I'll tell you this when you get back in town.
Okay. I still think I have... I'm gonna throw a grenade. I catch a grenade for ya.
Isn't your strength like 3? Isn't your strength like 3?
That did not work out. Alright, you know what? I'm just going in. I'm getting my dick out. I'm just getting my dick out. That's all we're doing. Okay, and I'm... Hey! Hey, what are you doing? Wait, where is it coming from? It was over here.
Have you thought that maybe there's more than one person?
No! There's only one person. Hi, Panda. Welcome. No, that was a great grenade toss. You're just... Hey! Stop being alive! Stop! Okay. Thank you for following directions. Whoa, Okay, that person. And then where's... That person? It can't be that person shooting me.
There's a cliff behind you.
Oh! Okay. Oh, right. Behind me. Okay. I would not survive a nuclear apocalypse. I think I'd just die immediately. Like, how the fuck did these people make it this far?
Your spatial
where are
awareness
they?
is impeccable.
Where are they? I'm trying to get a lay of the land. Okay, I'm just gonna go over here. Okay? I have 2 grenade launchers? Shit. Shit. Okay. Here. You good?
No.
Why is he just holding a bone?
He's made of bone.
He's like, fucking my leg. Okay, you're dead. Let's see. Bottle cap. Pack of cigarettes. Drugs! Okay, cool. We'll do that.
Eebee, you can't be so excited about drugs.
Why not? Okay, can I aim? Okay. Oh, you have the grenade! Whoa! Hold on. I can't see. I don't have my glasses on when I stream. I need my eye tracking to go. Hold on. Yeah. Say it to my fucking face, bitch! Okay, where is she? Where is she? Say it to my fucking
I'll find you.
I found you. Ah! That's what I said. Okay. All right. And that's in 1 for spice. Okay.
Killing 2 basic raiders. 10 minutes.
Shut up. Did I ask for your opinion?
Yeah, that's
you
why
silly goose.
I am not a goose.
What's a carrot? That's not why I meant to ask what that is. the fixer. What's that? Oh.
Temporary addiction removal.
What's Hydra? Oh, restore limb condition. Well, healing powder. That's what I wanted to ask. What is that?
It's healing powder.
Okay.
It heals you in powder form.
I'm just living in the moment. Okay. My carrot has worn off. Is that how that works?
Yeah, it's not healing you anymore.
Interesting. Do you ever think about like shoving a carrot up your ass at any point?
No, don't. No. Should I be worried about the zucchini in the fridge?
Yeah, me neither.
Okay.
Anyway.
Gaslight, keep girl
Brenda
boss.
Queen, thank you so much for the There's no good time to enter an Eebee game stream. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. You're not Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss, and I'm not gonna shove a carrot up my ass.
Hey, you might want a quick save, by the way.
Okay. Oh, that's F6. Okay.
Good job.
What's going on? What? Oh, thank you for that hydrate. Where's my... Oh, yeah. Drink of the day, by the way, for my fellow drink girlies in the crowd, is a Cherry Coke Zero, by the way. Delicious. I should probably heal myself more. Thank you for the posture check boundary. Let's do... What is it? A doctor's bag, maybe?
That heals crippled limbs.
Did I give my body parts back?
Partially.
Do I have stim packs?
No, you use them all.
Ah, shit. I should have
You might want
bought
to
more.
just keep healing off of healing powder. You have a bunch of it.
Okay. Healing powder. Okay.
Just pop one and every time.
Is that
it
like
wears off-
cocaine?
No.
No.
Just use one and every time it wears off, use another.
Okay. That sounds good.
It'll take a little bit of time.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's go this way. Why is your body man crying? He's just like that. Go find a toilet or a bed. If I drink toilet water, will that heal me? I love drinking toilet water.
Very slowly.
Wait, really?
Yeah, like 2 HP.
Stop! That's so funny. Oh my god. I mean, it is clean, isn't it? It's like is toilet water clean?
Okay, the water in the tank of your toilet is supposed to be potable.
Mmm, yummy.
It's supposed to come from the same line that your sink water comes from.
Uh-huh.
Once it is in the bowl and heavily irradiated, I don't think it's safe anymore.
You're talking about Fallout, not in real life, right?
Yes.
So, in real life, I can drink toilet water.
No, again, back of the toilet, maybe. Bowl of the toilet would not suggest.
I think the radiation just gives it flavor, personally. I was gonna say something else stupid. I had like a stupid thing to say in my brain, but I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, do you remember when people were licking toilets? Do you remember that?
That was fucking weird.
That was weird. And like the ice cream thing? Do you guys remember when people were licking ice cream? That shit was weird. Like here's the thing. I'm weird. I say a lot of dumb shit, okay? But I'm not lick a toilet and like lick random ice cream at the grocery store weird. Yeah, like I'm not an epidemiologist, but like I'm just saying that happened like right before COVID. That's all I'm saying. Okay. She used to be a ghoul. What is a ghoul?
You've met them.
We're humans. We all say dumb shit. That's true. I think that's part of the human experience. Okay, let's go. Is there any other? I think it happened during COVID. I think it was right before, actually. A staph infection speed run, any percent.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I think it was right before COVID. Are there going to be any more mines over here?
I don't know.
Are all the mines traffic cones?
No, there were
there's
mines
dudes
under
over
the
here.
traffic
Hold on,
cones.
I want to get in position. Okay. Hey! Ah! What the fuck was that? Are you dead? No.
Out of ammo.
Oh shit. Okay. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
Oh, your armor's broken.
Oh, that's not good. Machine gun.
Okay, you're out of ammo with that gun too.
Well, her armor's gone, so I can just steal her armor, can't I? Because my armor's broken?
Yeah, your armor is broken.
Salisbury steak? Oh, hell yeah. Drugs? Hell yeah.
Oh, she got 2 wrenches.
I don't know. Maybe she's a repair lady. Maybe she's the one that's going to fix the toilet that I'm going to drink from later, you know?
I don't think that's... Well, she's not going to do anything now. She's dead.
Wait, can I repair armor? Is
Yes.
that a thing?
Yeah. Good job.
Yay! Okay. Is there anything else I can... Let's do this one. Yeah. She likes wrenches. The wenches love the wrenches.
Oh my god.
You're not alive. Med-X. Yeah, okay, that sounds good. And then what's next? Viper Gunslinger, bottle cap, stim pack.
He's got a 40mm grenade.
Oh, hell yeah. Free real estate, baby. 5 Max Eebee is about to scream about the monument coming up. What do you mean? What's the monument? Like the Washington Monument? What's the monument?
It's a good one. You'll like it.
Oh boy.
You're crippled again, by the way.
Fuck, not again. Okay.
You might want to wait until you get to a doctor.
I keep getting crippled.
You might want to quick save again, by the way.
God damn it. I don't want to get crippled anymore. I want to go home.
This baby can hold so much brain damage.
Bro, listen. Oh, there's like a little town over there.
That's not a town, that's a scrapyard.
Oh. Well,
Wait, no, is that the scrapyard or is that a ranger house?
It's kind of rude to call their little town a scrapyard.
Some things are literally scrapyards.
It's not very kind.
I think that's actually a ranger outpost.
Oh, can they make me uncrippled?
I don't know, maybe you should go talk to them.
Hello!
It's a ranger, yeah, okay. It's a ranger.
I'm crippled! Help me! I picture David literally slapping a baby while saying that. I love David, and I fully intend on marrying this man one day. He would slap a baby.
I hate children.
Like, on God. Like, this whole go, but David would just, like, I'm surprised, honestly, David hasn't just, like, done that, honestly. Like, he could. I'm like, there's the thighs, the gamer girl thighs. Where's a doctor? Don't I have a doctor's bag? I don't think I do, actually. Do I? Let's see. Items.
Yeah, but do you want to use the doctor's bag when you're close to a town?
Yeah. Hi. Oh, let me put my gun away so he knows I'm a friend. Hi.
When I got this assignment, I was hoping there'd be more gambling.
Okay. Anyway. Also, I know it's, like, supposed to be the 2 bear heads, but on a distance, like, from a distance, it looked like those bears were just going, like, they were just fucking. I'm gonna be real.
Bears fuck, too.
Well, yeah, but they were like when you look at it from this way, I thought, like, I didn't see, like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Here's what I think is a real missed opportunity. Yao Guai exists.
I thought you were gonna say Yowie for a second.
Yowie also exists.
Is Yowie canon in the Fallout universe?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess, like, boys can kiss in Fallout, so it must be.
Side note.
I love boys kissing.
Bumble, half of the characters in this game are Liam O'Brien.
I love girls kissing, too.
But, they have the Yao Guai, which is an irradiated bear, and they never put a two-headed bear in this fucking game.
The Yowie bear. Can I call it the Yowie bear? Because that's really funny. The Yowie bear.
If you want.
Yowie bear. Yowie bear. Ah! Thank you for the yeet. Hello!
McCarran doesn't like it when civilians
like
wander
Kit
into
Kat.
military outposts. So if you're here on business, better make it quick.
I don't know why, but his hair reminds me, because you know how Kit Kats are like orange? He looks like a Kit Kat.
You can't just say that to someone.
Why not? I feel like it's nice, because I like Kit Kats. If someone told me I look like a Kit Kat, I would be very, like, pleasant about it.
Oh.
Can I call you a Kit Kat?
I'd prefer you didn't.
Wait, this is copyright music? Ah!
Yeah.
I need to leave!
No, just turn the radio off. Just find the radio and turn it off. If you don't have it
Where's the radio?
Yeah, well, stop.
Where?
Left, right. It's right there. That is the radio.
This one?
This, what I am pointing to.
Cut it out, will ya?
Right, just turn it off.
Oh my god, okay.
It is off.
Okay. No more copyright music! Okay. I thought just shooting it would turn it off. I'm gonna be honest. Hi, welcome.
So
okay.
there is a mod where if you shoot them, they explode.
I think that should happen all the time. Wait, first aid box. Oh wait, this would be stealing.
That would be stealing.
Okay, can you heal me?
You're back. What's up?
Heal me.
He's
Can
a
I?
comm off.
I shouldn't have said anything in the first place. And I'd rather not get you into the habit of crossing the NCR.
I'm crippled! So I can't take anything?
No.
See you around.
He runs a radio.
Then why does he need all this shit?
Because they're soldiers?
But he runs the radio.
Yeah, but there are also soldiers.
Oh, the radio's for the soldiers. Okay, I get it.
He's a communications officer. He offices the communication.
That's what my dad did in the military, I think. Urinal water?
It's 5 rands, Eevee, no!
Yay! It's like Gatorade.
I like how there's a sink and you chose to drink out of the urinal.
No, because I haven't drank out of the urinal before. It's a new experience.
Yeah, how would you rate it?
5 out of 7.
Well, congratulations. You now have every disease.
Yay! Okay, confirmed Eebee drinks piss. Not in like a sexy way, but like in like a glass of water, like kind of way. You know what I mean? Is there drinking piss in a sexy way? Is it possible to drink piss in
Hello.
People are into water sports. It's entirely
no, why does drinking then? No more piss. No more piss. Say it with me, David. No more piss.
Why not?
Because we're not talking about. It's not piss time.
Now, hold on.
Oh,
You're
sleeping in
the
a
one who
bed can
brought it
heal. Oh, okay.
You don't own a bed here.
The Kaisar has marked you for death, and the Legion obeys. Ready yourself for battle.
I like they're attacking you in a ranger.
What the fuck? Hello? Hello? Hey! Oh shit! Well, how do I sprint? Damn it! How do I sprint? I don't remember.
You can't. There's no sprinting in this game.
What? Okay, hold on. Hold the fuck on. Okay. This is what I get for talking about piss. God damn it. Okay.
So I want you to know, I almost did this and I didn't, and I might still do it.
Ah!
Odd that replaces his entire, like, the Kaisar has marked you for
Oh
death.
fuck! How do I?
Oh,
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
All right.
You're fucked. You're so fucked.
Oh shit. Okay, hold on. I'm trying. I need a. I didn't think I thought I was far away enough. I'm gonna be honest. So you need to be real far away for that one, huh?
It might have something to do with that you got hit in the back of the head with a sledgehammer.
Oh.
That might be more it. Also, you're crippled, half HP, have no ammo, and have weapons that are falling apart.
Well, that's a really negative way to think about it.
Have you ever considered purchasing ammunition?
Wait, are they still?
You like that?
They are still here.
Ah! Okay, Okay.
You're out of ammo.
I need another weapon. Okay. This thing. We're just gonna do this right now.
Yeah, you might as well.
Okay. Weapons.
So normally these are a mid-game enemy, unless you pick them up fast enough.
What? Okay. Don't hit me! Don't hit me! Oh, get me! I have Psycho? Wait, I thought that was like cocaine. If I do cocaine, can I beat them?
It increases your damage output by 25%.
Cocaine time! Cocaine time! Cocaine time! Cocaine time! Where's that? Where's that? Where's that? Where's that?
It's Psycho.
Psycho. Alright. Are you ready to do a line with me, David?
No. That's a syringe.
Oh.
Also, isn't it... Someone can lore check me. Isn't part of Psycho, like, literal jet fuel?
I've never done heroin, so I wouldn't know how that works. Laser rifle? Wait a second. No, that's the grenade rifle.
That is a grenade rifle.
I don't know, maybe if I, like, don't be stupid, I can make it work.
Just be careful not to hit the end.
I'm addicted to drugs! Okay.
You're addicted to Psycho now.
Well, don't I have addiction relief or something? Are you guys
yeah.
still hanging out here?
They're gonna be there in a second.
Hold on.
Come on!
Okay, I gotta aim high. Alright, let me do this. I don't know if that did anything, I'm gonna be honest.
It did some damage.
Hold on. What's my...
But I also think you hit that NCR Ranger.
Oh, shit.
So, it's not happy.
Yeah, I crit the NCR Ranger. That's not very nice. What's the VATS button? V?
Yeah.
No, not the NCR Ranger. No. What?
It's not even targeting.
Who's it targeting? Okay, okay, this way. Yeah. Right for the noggin. Okay, here we go. Let's see. We're just gonna give it my best shot. My best shot was fucking off. Am I doing any damage to this guy?
His damage resistance threshold is way...
Come on.
Well then what the fuck do I do? What? But I need to go here.
No, you don't.
Wait, why was I here?
I don't know.
Yeah, dude, I wanted to. Why'd you tell me to go here?
I didn't.
What? What?
You came in here on your own and started asking around. Yeah, I don't think there's really an easy way for you to win this without blowing everything you have. Okay.
Had it.
Where is he? That did something. Oh yeah, he's almost dead. He's almost dead. Aid. Squirrel on a stick. Oh wait, stim pack. Okay. And this thing, sure.
Sunset Sarsaparilla also kills you.
Sunset Sarsaparilla. Fuck yeah. Okay. Weapons. I'm all out of grenades.
Yep.
What do? Oh no, I have
13
one
more.
What? Okay, I can't read them.
You might like just pumping with grenades.
Yeah, that might be the strat, but we'll try this first. I have to use my brain. Okay, we're gonna have to grenades. We're gonna have grenade. Let's try VATS with a grenade launcher. Let's give that a go.
You need to be able to see them.
Well, yeah, I just... Okay, here we go. Hello.
You only have enough AP for one shot.
One shot, one kill. God damn it! Okay, how do I
Just
get...
shoot at him. Just shoot at him.
But it doesn't do anything.
It does.
He takes like no damage. Oh,
Yeah,
right.
that's no damage.
Yay! Okay,
So,
is that
pro tip,
everybody?
You need to hit them with the grenade to do damage.
Oh. I thought it was like an AoE.
It is. You still need to hit them in the blast radius.
Oh.
The reason you were doing no damage is because you were missing.
Well, now I'm addicted to heroin!
Well,
For what?
you can talk to a doctor and get that removed.
Please take away my heroin, sir. I don't need it anymore. I don't need it anymore. Do you guys have soup? Soup? soup.
You might want the 20 gauge rounds.
Yeah.
No,
Mud
they're at
fruit.
the top.
Oh, whoopsie. Soup. Soup. Is their armor good? Don't I get like a debuff if I wear their armor? Because people will look at me and be like,
their armor is pretty good. But if you wear it, the NCR and most towns will attack you on sight.
Yeah, I don't want that.
The Legion Denarius is money, by the way.
Oh. I like money.
You can trade it in the casinos.
Oh, okay, hold on. Okay, so here's the problem. Actually, that's not that bad.
Almost crippled, not quite.
We're halfway there. Whoa,
That's more than halfway.
David. Shut up, David. Can I interest you in some, can I eat these cigarettes?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that would be smart. Okay, let's do this. Bink. Did I do it? Okay, yeah, I did. Okay.
You don't need to equip it to repair it, by the way.
Oh. Let's see. Why do you even want to eat cigarettes? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I just thought first, I said first.
Also, whoever said it, you have two 10mm pistols and 2 grenade launchers. They're just called different things.
Can I combine them?
No.
Oh. Well.
So you got the 10mm pistol and the weathered 10mm, and the weathered 10mm is better.
I'll do that, and I'll get rid of the 10mm.
Just drop the regular one.
Where's this one?
Yeah.
How do I drop it? I don't remember.
Shift left click. No, sorry, shift right click.
Okay. What was the other one I need to drop?
Grenade rifle. You have the mercenaries grenade rifle and the regular grenade rifle.
Is the regular grenade rifle worse?
Yeah.
Okay.
The DLC weapons are a little busted, but now you have an extra 15 pounds.
Yay! Okay. I don't know. Sometimes you just want to eat cigarettes, you know?
Don't eat. Public health announcement. Don't eat cigarettes.
Don't listen to him. Live your best life, kings and queens.
Listen to me. Don't eat cigarettes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going this way. Where are we going? I forgot what our objective was. I'm gonna be honest.
You're going to Novak.
Novak. Okay.
These streams age me.
Should we teach Eebee the hotbar and how to switch ammo types? Should I learn that?
We'll do that later. We'll do that off stream.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
Who? Dinosaur!
His name is Dinky.
Wait, for real?
Yes.
Dinky? Dinky?
He's Dinky the dinosaur.
Dinky? Dinosaur friend! He is a friend, right?
I don't know.
No, there's ads right now!
We'll have to go find out.
Let me take a sippy of my soda then if there's ads. Fuck. There is a Twitch update coming out, though, where, like, what they're gonna do is they'll give the streamer, like, a heads up that an ad's coming. And that will, like, give me I think that's really nice, because they don't, like, from the streamer side, they don't tell me they're about to run ads. I just, like, you guys saying ads in chat is the only way I fucking know. Deadass.
I was watching... You're suffering from...
I'm withdrawing from drugs! Oh, I need more drugs. Drugs. Ugh. Okay, where are my drugs? Yeah! Wahoo!
I was watching a Twitch stream myself for the first time in a while today. The amount of, like, fucking...
Yeah.
Like, they shrink your screen and put ads on both sides for, like, 30 seconds at a time.
Right.
That's incredibly annoying.
Yeah, it's Dinky! Dinky! Dinosaur friend!
What have I told you?
Wait, I can get addicted to toilet water? Huh.
No, you cannot get addicted to veg. It's just drugs.
These are friendly people? Okay, that's good. That's good. I want to go see the dinosaur more. Dinosaur. Dinosaur. Bing bong bing. Okay.
You want to go inside the fence?
Can I go? Can I?
Left.
Left. Oh, I was gonna try to climb the tile.
Well, butter my butt and call me a biscuit if it ain't my old friend from Good Springs.
Hi! Let me turn the voice volume down real quick, because he really was like, well, butter my biscuit. And I'm like, oh boy, oh boy. I wish someone would, like, talk to me like that in real life.
Ask and you shall receive.
Okay. Will you tell me, butter my biscuit?
I will.
Okay. What are you doing in Novak?
Don't rightly know. I just got the notion to make my way to New Vegas. Reckon I'll find out when I get there.
Thank you for clips, by the way. They help me out a lot. If you want a clip, but you're feeling lazy, if you see me do a silly, just type !clip and it'll automatically make a clip. It helps me out a lot. What's the tea?
Novak? Nice enough place, I suppose. But between you and me, when I rolled into town, my skin started to itch.
You don't have...
Watch yourself.
I'm not going to tell him.
He's a cowboy. Right?
But he's a robot.
Yeah, but he's busy cowboying.
Okay. They're heading this way, though, right? The dudes that fucked me up?
No, don't believe I did. But you might ask around. The Novak folk usually see anyone traveling this way.
Okay. Well, it's nice to see you.
Likewise, friend, likewise. Is there anything old Vic can do you for?
I could use a bed and some supplies.
Well, this ain't New Vegas, but I reckon you can find what you need here.
He's so nice.
Try the office out front.
Okay. Well, I'll see you later, pal.
Be seeing you.
Bye-bye. Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. That's cute. That's cute. Okay.
That's the gate.
This one?
That's the gate, yeah.
Dinky. Dinky.
Now, hold on. There's something special about Dinky. Walk up to the side of him. That side, yeah. You can go inside the Dinky.
I want to go inside the dinosaur.
Welcome back to the
It's a gift shop.
This is Mr. New Vegas.
I want this.
Welcome to the Dino Bite gift shop.
Dinky. Dinky.
Despite NCR's effort to reactivate the facility.
Ask her about supplies.
The plant vowed to fix the problem.
Guns? Well, yeah, I guess I might have a few. Darn it, no one ever buys the T-Rex.
I want the...
Sure thing. Have a look.
Okay, so, little inventory management tip. You might want to only keep one gun of each ammo type around. Because otherwise you are carrying around... Do not buy 1,000 Dinkies.
Why not? What about that many? Wait.
We can't... Rune, to talk about... Nice. To talk about that, the radio is all copyrighted. We cannot listen to the radio.
Can I buy 420 Dinkies?
Don't buy all the Dinkies.
Aww.
Also, apparently the radio is running.
Here, no, I'll buy just one. Oh.
You still have the 420 listed.
Shit. How do I get rid of that?
Just exit. Hit X.
Okay.
Go turn off the radio before you get caught.
Please don't copyright strike me. Okay. We have T-Rexes. I would like one T-Rex,
Welcome back.
please.
Can I get you anything?
One T-Rex, please. Okay. This thing. How do I
Sure
clip?
thing.
Oh,
Have a
just
look.
type !clip in the chat, and it should do it automatically. See how the little like read API, the blah, blah, that generates it. It's kind of nifty. Okay. Dinky. Can I? Do they make plushies of him?
Not officially, I don't think.
Well, that's a missed opportunity. Yay. Okay.
But yeah, I would sell things that use the same ammo type.
So, oh, I thought that said piss for a second. What should I sell then? Must provide valid token. It did it. You're good. If the little link appears, then you're good, I think. So thank you. What should I sell?
Well, anything that uses the same ammo type as another gun you have.
How do I know what that is?
You mouse over it and you see what ammo type it uses.
Oh god, there's a lot to keep track of. Okay,
It's easier if you filter it just to weapons.
How do I do that?
At the top where it says items and the arrows.
Oh, okay. What is binoculars?
You equip it like a gun. The game treats it like a gun. It just doesn't fire.
Even if it doesn't clip exactly what you want, it still helps me because it gives me like a marker, you know, so then I see like, oh, I was funny there. Yeehaw. Okay. Let's see. This uses...
So I'll tell you that uses the same as the cowboy repeater.
So I should sell this one because I like cowboy repeater better.
Then yeah, sure, sell the Magnum.
Bye.
You have the 10mm submachine gun and the 10mm pistol. It's the
Bye.
That's the 9mm. That's fine.
Okay.
Same thing goes for the 10mm now, which is the weathered 10mm, which is at the bottom.
That's the one I want to keep.
It's up to you if you want to keep the weathered 10 or if you want to keep the SMG.
This one does, well...
It does a little more damage.
I don't like pistols, though.
But it's going to eat less ammo.
I don't want it.
The varmint rifle and the service rifle use the same ammo type as well.
97 DPS. Service rifle better. Bye. And then shotgun. So this one.
Yeah, the single shotgun's worthless.
And then...
Okay, so here's where you're going to get stuck, though.
Huh?
So you're trying to sell more than he has.
Yeah.
I would buy ammo.
Well, there's also a doctor's bag I can pick up.
Ammo and stim packs. You can filter his inventory too. You're looking at everything right now.
Okay. So what kind of ammo do I need then?
You need 5.56. Well, I mean, what gun do you want to use?
This is why I like Skyrim. I don't think about ammo. Like, you just pick up a sword and you go, okay? You just fucking go, okay?
That's an option here, but you chose the gun.
Well, I like gun. I just don't like numbers, you know? Fuck numbers. All right, anyway.
You also might want to sell the laser rifle. You don't really use energy
weapons.
weapons.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What gun are you going to use?
There is no ammo.
No, because you're in weapons, not ammo.
Oh, here we go. Hold on.
That's aid. You might want to buy
well,
some
let me
stim
do that.
Okay.
And then ammo.
Keep going.
There we go.
There you go.
I like machine gun, so I want 10mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cowboy repeater uses 3.57.
Yeah.
I like the service rifle myself. That's 5.56. I don't know if you want to use that.
It feels like I'm doing fucking algebra in here.
Just numbers.
I don't.
That's armor piercing. Those are different than regular ammo.
Okay.
So there are. Do you want to know about the different ammo types?
Is it gonna make my brain hurt?
It's not that difficult, but maybe.
Okay.
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 Regular ammo.
Uh-huh.
Okay, which is just regular ammo. There are...
That gun.
There's a gun called that gun.
That gun. I like it. I like it.
There's hollow points, which are worse at penetrating armor, but do more damage.
Uh-huh.
And there's armor piercing, which is better at getting through armor, but does less damage.
Uh-huh.
That's it. There's only 3.
Oh my god. You're making me sleepy with all these numbers and shit. I can't do algebra. I can't do math. Okay. Goodbye.
Did you
wait.
buy it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking for a man in a checkered coat. Have you seen anyone like that?
Sure, but he didn't buy any souvenirs, if that's what you're
fucked up. He should have bought a
Sounded like
dengue.
he didn't have his money with him.
Oh.
His friends seemed disappointed about it. Heck, I would be too if I found such a fine store and left my money elsewhere.
I like this guy.
Manny might know more about him. Thought he might have been friends with 1 or 2 of them. He's up in the dino mouth during the day.
Oh. Okay. Tell me more about the souvenir rockets.
They're scale replicas of the real thing. Very detailed. Got a liquid in them that makes them glow.
Ooh.
From what I hear, Repcon used to give them out on tours of their HQ up in Henderson. But I guess they had to stop after the first few kids thought they were filled with Nuka-Cola and drank it down. The papers had a name for the condition and everything. They called it the Repcon Shakes. Those were bad times for Robco.
I'd be one of those kids. Yeah, that would be me. Gonna be honest.
Come back soon now.
Okay. All right.
You go talk to Manny Vargas?
I want to go in the dino.
That's up the stairs.
Oh, right. Okay. Wait, open which door?
Oh my god. I think it's locked, isn't it?
It's locked. Wait. Wait a minute.
If you can sneak and have him not see you, you can pick it open.
Why is he...
Don't think about it.
What's going on in there?
Don't worry about it.
Don't look at me like that. Why is he giving me bedroom eyes in the radiation?
That's just how they look.
Quick save and open that door. Say no more.
How you doing?
What's going on in here? I just want to know.
It's full of the rockets. And some ginkies. Nah. Nah.
What do you mean no?
We got rid of all that inventory space, and you're gonna fill that carry weight up with Dinky the dinosaur.
Yeah. Cool. What?
I would quick load because he's afraid of you and won't talk to you anymore.
Oh, okay. I just want to, so I can't keep all my 62 dinkies.
The crates were also all full of dinkies.
Oh my god. I thought he shot at me for a second. Man, I could have gotten more dinky. I just don't want him to be afraid of me. That's the problem. But like, I don't know. Maybe is it worth it to commit crimes for Dinky? Hi, Dinky. Hi.
What's going on, man?
You're not Dinky. Who are you?
I'm Manny. I'm on security detail here.
He's kind of hot.
You see a rifle barrel sticking out of the dinosaur's mouth, you got a 50-50 shot it's me. Otherwise, it's Boone.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it his beret that you like?
I like a man with a beret. I'll be real with you. Why don't you ever wear berets?
Because I'm not a fucking idiot. Or in the military.
The French wear berets.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, they do.
Do French people still wear berets?
I saw it in Ratatouille.
I always assumed that was a stereotype.
Where do you protect your town from?
You name it. Anything that comes within 1,000 yards that looks like trouble. Lately, we've been getting ghouls coming from the road to Repcon out to the west. Quite a few.
Can come back when they're
last couple
sleeping?
days.
I might do that.
The big threat is the Legion coming from the east. If they decide to attack with a full force, they'll run us over.
I think David should
So
get a
far, we've
beret.
been lucky.
I think he should. Who's Boone?
I have too much hair to
Boone's a sniper.
Yeah,
Same as
David's
me.
got really long
Used to
hair.
spot for him when we were enlisted with the NCR. After we got out, I talked him into settling down here. So, here we are. I'd introduce you, but we're not so friendly right now.
I'm looking for a man in a checkered coat.
Sure, I know him. What do you want with him?
I got a score to settle.
You talking about that chip? Man,
Yeah.
I don't think he's giving it up. Well,
With
listen,
long hair,
I
he
can
would look
definitely
artsy
help
with
you
the beret.
find
I
him,
think he
but
would
I've
too.
got problems of my own. Maybe we can do a trade. You need my help. There's something I need too.
I'm not wearing a beret.
Is he gonna want me to open my bussy? You've had your needs neglected for. Am I opening my bussy? On the dinosaur?
I mean, emotionally.
Yeah, everybody depends on you, you know? But they don't ask you about how you feel, what
Oh
you
my
worry
God.
about.
He just
There's
wants
something I
someone
like
to
about
ask
you.
about how
You just
he
seem really
is
understanding.
sometimes.
I was gonna ask you for a favor, but I'll just tell you what you want to know.
Fallout
The
New
guy you're looking
Dong.
for, Benny, he was traveling with some members from my
Am
old
I gonna
gang.
have to
They
like
were going to
jack him
Boulder
off
City.
on the dinosaur? Oh,
No.
okay. All right.
So I will say, for content's sake,
Glad I could
there are
help.
a few things around
Hey,
here that you
I
can
know
do.
you've got no
Fucking
reason to help me
what?
out now,
So the
but you
first is
seem
the
really
old Redcon
nice.
facility.
Can I
Okay.
at least tell you
Okay.
about the problem we've got
There's
here?
a rancher around
No, he
here.
wants to. Shut up. He wants me to suck his dick. Hold on.
See? I was right about you.
Oh, okay. He's got
Novak,
it anyway.
it's home for me now. I want that to be for good. I like
Can
it
I
here,
romance
and I've
this
left too
man?
many homes behind.
Why not? I kind of.
But
I
the
don't
only
know. Like,
resource
not
we
to be
got here is
dramatic, but
junk.
I've fallen in
Without
love with
that,
him
people
immediately.
wouldn't have anything to trade. They don't have to leave. We get most of it up the road
I
from the old
rizzed
rocket
him!
test site. But a
My
bunch of
wrist!
ghouls showed up one day
I
and took
rizzed!
it over. We
I
can't get
came.
in there
I
now.
rizzed. I conquered. David, I rizzed a man.
No, old man Pingus rizzed a man. Big man Pingus. is
But
the
I'm
Rizzest.
Big Man Pingus.
No, you're not. No,
I'm
no.
Big Man Pingus.
Doesn't count.
Have I ever told you I hate you?
Yep.
Good talk. Okay.
Okay. All right. Now we're on the same page.
You don't have the right mods for that. So there is a Fallout 4 collection in the works by Candleberg and the Immersions collection. Those friends. And I haven't played Fallout 4 at all, but you bet your sweet ass when that shit comes out, I am going to play Fallout 4 with all the sex mods and with all that shit immediately, with nothing else. So like, maybe I can suck a dick on the dinosaur. Who knows?
Not
you
here.
know? Well, not here, but
Not,
you know.
not in Fallout 4, you can't.
Can someone write gay fan fiction about me getting my dick sucked on the dinosaur?
Please don't.
Please do. All right, anyway. What needs to be done?
Well, they gotta go, or this will be a ghost town before long.
If you
Doesn't
want
matter to me what you do. As long as the ghouls are out of there, that's good enough for me.
I can get that sweet bussy in the lab. Oh, hell yeah. All right, I'll see what I can do. Anything for you, BB. Anything for you, BB. Okay. Do you need me to kiss you on the mouth?
Like, what was I supposed to do again?
I got rizzed. He got rizzed. Like, I would totally kiss this man on the mouth. Dead ass. Would you kiss him on the mouth?
I don't know.
That's fair. I'd kiss him on the mouth too. He seems chill.
All right, are you going to the Repcon facility?
What did the hot guy want me to do?
Why did you go to the Repcon facility?
That's where we're going.
Did you pay any attention to what he was saying?
No, I was thinking about sucking his dick on the dinosaur.
Oh my god. Is it him you like, or is it the dinosaur you like?
I feel like it's like more. I'm not gonna say what I want to say. New Vegas features the first canonically LGBTQ. Fuck yeah! Hell yeah!
Yeah.
That's cool as shit.
We'll meet him soon.
Wait, so does that mean I can get my dick sucked?
No. There's no romancing. Well, okay, there are the prostitutes.
You didn't tell me there were hookers in this game!
There are. We'll get there.
We're playing Fallout with blackjack and hookers?
You're in Vegas. This is the only place where you can expect blackjack and hookers.
That makes sense. I've never been to Vegas in real life.
By the way, do you want to stop being addicted to Psycho?
Oh, yeah,
There's a doctor here.
I should probably stop being addicted to drugs.
There's a doctor outside the gates.
Doctor, ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba-ba.
There's also a very nice man that I want you to meet. We'll talk to him soon.
Eebee needs to meet Fisto? Who's
We'll
Fisto?
get there.
That sounds like a
Turn
shitty
right.
porn
Turn right.
star name.
Go straight.
Here?
No, turn right again.
Here? This building?
No. Is that who I'm looking for? Look up to that guy. That is it. I think that's who I'm looking for.
Hi.
Don't listen to a word
Okay.
Nobart says. I don't think he
That
ever
woman is the
sleeps,
doctor.
so it's no wonder he starts nothing but
Which
nonsense.
one's the... Okay, there we go.
What can I do for you?
I didn't know which one was the girl from a distance, I'm gonna be honest. Go shoot the NCR monument? Where is it? I think I might be addicted to something.
Oh, are you talking?
Your fat titties, milady. Mwah.
Are you talking
Hey,
about the Boulder City
pipe
Monument?
down.
We'll
You
do
can't talk
that.
about that
I'll
here,
tell her
out in the
about it when we
open.
get there.
Oh, you mean you want a cure? Oh.
Pah! Was she about to sell me drugs?
Yeah.
Okay, there you
Dude,
are.
you're taking medical advice
The
from a woman
convulsions
who's
should
wearing a
stop
white
in the
tank top
next
covered in
1
blood.
to 12
Yeah, I
weeks.
was...
If they don't, try holding on to something that's very still.
Yeah, I did notice the covered in blood bit, but, wait, what?
You're no longer addicted to Psycho.
Yay! Congratulations, big
Okay.
man Pingus. You did it. You did it, buddy.
Where's no?
God,
Prim
he's
wimped
so
out and
bright.
accepted NCR rule. Some people do anything to feel safe.
What does this have to do with you? What are you...
Turn left. Walk
Evening.
up to that shack for me.
The shack.
Yeah, I think this is the right shack.
This looks like a crack house that used to be by my neighborhood. Do you remember the crack house in my hometown?
Okay, is he in here?
Oh, this definitely looks like the crack house in my hometown. Wait, I got head? Is that how she cured me?
No.
I got head. Eebee got head. Eebee got head. Let's go. Oh.
Oh, he's not in here. He must be somewhere else. Okay, leave. You can leave here. I'm looking for the guy who lives here. I forgot that he has that traps.
I want to look like this in real life.
Missing a leg and all?
Yeah, like missing a leg, naked, baseball. You know? That's the vibe. That is the vibe right now.
There's no bark. Turn left. Go back on the road.
Is Pingus canonically a top or a bottom? He's a switch. Yes, yeah. He is absolutely a switch. His BDSM score is like maxed out. This guy?
Yeah.
Who sent you?
What's his
I
dude
ain't
doing,
talking.
man?
They tried to get me to talk before, but I didn't say nothing. And I don't aim to now, by gum.
What's your... I don't mean any harm.
We'll just see about that. You come any closer and I'm liable to stick you with my sticking knife. Old Sticky's feeling mighty ornery this day.
Oh, sticky? Oh, sticky. If you...
No, keep talking to him. Keep talking
This
to him.
line... No, I'm not gonna click. This line is my entire K through 12 school experience. Like, literally, this is just me. Like, this is what every person said to me throughout all of my life. If you're gonna be weird, I'm just gonna leave. Like, well, we can talk from this distance.
You sure now? It's kind of hard to hear you.
Yeah, I think we're, you said you'd stab me with the dirty knife.
Okay, just speak up a little. But not so much that they hear you.
Who's
They got
they?
people everywhere, always listening.
What's been going on?
There's been things of a disturbing nature going on at the McBride Corral.
I'm so not over
Seems
old
every
sticky.
night one of their herd meets a most unnatural death. And always there's holes all over the body. Work of the chupacabra.
The
livestock
chupacabra?
vampire, says Nobark. But they don't pay no mind. Too many holes, they say, and there's bullets in them.
What?
Well, says Nobark, we got a chupacabra with an automatic weapon.
Wait, the chupacabra has a gun?
Quiet, because now they see the predicament we're in.
We got a chupacabra with an automatic weapon.
I want to be a chupacabra with an automatic weapon? Why'd they cure me of the drugs? I want to go back on the drugs. Holy shit, that sounds incredible. Why do they call you No Bark?
Because they know I ain't just barking here. What I say has got bite, because it's the truth.
That kind of goes
Them
hard.
quack doctors can say what they want about all the rat scorpion stings that done pierced my skull. I know what I seen.
No. Let him cook, okay? Let him cook.
You know why they actually call him No Bark?
No.
He has no dogs barking.
What does that mean?
He's an idiot.
Oh, see, that my brain is so rotted. I was like, when you were like, he has no dogs barking, I'm like, he doesn't have feet? What? That's what I thought. Eebee lasted a whole 2 minutes before they went back to drugs. Listen.
The doctor is behind you, just like sighing.
I mean, she gave me head, so like, it's cool. Is anything interesting happening?
Folks will tell you that they seen ghouls up near the rocket factory. Sensationalist hooey, cooked up by superstitious yokels.
The way he said that was
phantoms of
so
their own
fucking funny
imagining.
to me. Sensationalist hooey. Okay. What do you think's at the factory?
Ghosts. Commie ghosts who don't know they're dead.
Commie? The ghosts are
rockets
commies?
So they can fly up and paint the moon pink and draw a Lenin face on it. I seen one of them disappear and reappear
He's the
before my very
protagonist of
eyes.
Fallout 2.
Although, being a scientist, I have to admit I might have just blinked for longer than usual, what with the shock of seeing a commie ghost and so forth.
I don't know why that did me in. That's so fucking funny. What else do you know about the deaths at the corral?
I come face to face with the chupacabra himself one night, whilst I was investigating whether this gecko was hiding his treasure from me. He was the meanest, ugliest chupacabra
See
you
a
could
space
imagine.
cowboy.
Had 2 heads and
Oh my
fangs down to the
God.
ground. Best I could tell anyways, since when he come up to me, he was invisible. Had himself a blunderbuss, what would rotate and shoot bullets real fast.
Wait, the
out of
lizard had a
backpack.
blunderbuss?
Never seen nothing like it. Walked right past me having an argument with somebody. But I only saw one chupacabra, so I guess the other fella had to be invisible too. Only more invisible than the other one.
Damn, that's crazy.
So you can investigate the chupacabra.
I would
If
like to
anyone asks,
investigate.
Okay.
We never spoke.
God.
The ghost commies.
This really does sound like someone's like granddad, like the ghosts are coming.
So here, if you want to do that, go back on the road.
Unrelated. I'm hungry. Like not in game, like in real life. I'm
You
hungry.
just had dinner.
I'm hungry
Did you
again.
finish your dinner?
No,
Well, why? Maybe you should have.
well, I didn't,
Well, maybe you should have.
and then I threw it away
Why'd you throw it away?
because I was done eating.
No, but what if you want more later?
I didn't think about that.
Okay.
Okay, where's the commie
You,
ghost?
you haven't gotten it yet. So
Fuck, okay.
Get back on the road.
This bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. There, keep going straight. That house to the right. No, that's a 10.
Oh, okay. Snack while you stream. Here's the thing: is I'm really insecure about like making noises while I eat. Like if I watch this VOD back and I hear like mouth noises while I'm eating, I
Look
will
who's
shit
here.
my pants. You know? Oh, hey.
What brings you here?
Who are ya? How'd No Bark get his name?
I'm not sure who started it. Wasn't a very nice name, but he took to calling himself by it, so we all had to. I don't even remember what his real name is. Anyway, I think it comes from that expression that people say when you're crazy, that not all of your dogs are barking.
I can't help but think about
Poor
feet
No
when she
Bark.
says that. You know, because they'll say like, "Damn, she got the dogs out." Is that bad to say that I'm thinking about feet?
Haha, you like feet.
I do not like feet. I'm just saying that's what people say when they're talking about feet.
I'm gonna find you on Wiki Feet.
I'm not on Wiki Feet.
Someone make it happen.
No,
Oh, we keep to ourselves for the most part. Try not to pry. I think Jeannie Mae gets bothered that we aren't more
I do
sociable.
not like feet.
But it's just our way. Ain't that we don't appreciate what she's done,
like
managing this town like she has.
So yes
but
or no
I worry
question.
she feels that way anyhow. Not that there ain't others who pry around here. That no-bark was skulking around our yard last week.
Gaslight gatekeep
I thought he was
girl
a
boss.
cow killer. Was about to lash him with a bullwhip till I saw who it was. He's harmless, though. Part of me wishes I could see things like
How
he
does
sees
David know
them,
about Wiki
all
Feet?
full of
Can I
mystery.
tell you guys a secret and you promise not to tell anyone? There was a very brief period in time where we were like, here's the thing. If you sell like feet pictures on the internet, right? Like anyone can do it because they're only seeing your feet. And we were like, I don't want to sell feet pics. That's weird. But David could sell feet pics. Right? So there was a brief time where we looked into selling pictures of David's feet on the internet so we could get money to go to Disney World.
And then we did the subathon.
So we didn't have to sell pictures of David's feet. But like, if you want, like, we can make a sub goal for like David foot pics if you guys want that. But I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to say you guys don't want that because y'all motherfuckers are gonna be like feet, David feet, and I'm gonna be like.
It would have been funny if we did a subathon to get Jetmir neutered.
The subathon to get Jetmir's balls cut off. We're still gonna have a party for when we cut off his balls. We're gonna go to Walmart, we're gonna get a cake, and then we're gonna get him to write on it like, sorry for cutting your balls off or some shit. I just wanted to meet you.
Oh, well, I'm Alice, and that handsome stranger yonder is my husband, Dusty. Going on 50 years now.
Oh, that's nice.
I keep waiting for him to leave me for some young thing with platinum blonde hair and hoop earrings.
That's very specific,
but he still
ma'am. Are you
sticks
good?
Around. Says it's my cooking. I think it's because I know which Brahmin udder you can milk without getting kicked in the noggin.
I don't want to talk to you anymore. You're kind of giving me weird vibes now. Goodbye.
Nice of you to visit.
Okay, is Dusty in here? Is that the guy? Hi.
Things treating you all right?
I heard you're losing livestock.
Losing don't describe it. It's a massacre. A few more days and there won't be nothing left to lose.
Tell me what you know about the attacks.
Every night around midnight, Alice and I wake up to some crazy hollering and gunshots.
Gaslight
You think the
gatekeep
world
girl
is
boss.
Thank you so much for the
over
follow.
again.
You're now.
But it's just one animal
The
each
Gaslight
night.
Gatekeep Girl
They don't
Boss.
take
Welcome
it
to
or
the stream,
carve it
gamer.
up or nothing. Just leave it there, all full of holes.
I still think it's the Chupacabra with a gun. Like, I think we need to let him. Oh, Thunder Raiders, thank you so much for the raid! Welcome in, Raiders. My name is Eebee Games. I love beautiful women, dragons, and I have Dave with me, and we are gonna find a Chupacabra with a gun. We're on the Chupacabra. But welcome in. How was your stream? What'd you play? If mods could give a shout out to Raiden, that would be appreciated. But thank you, gamer. So let's see. Yeah, I'll catch whoever's responsible.
We'd be grateful, especially if you find them before they get my whole stock. But don't go getting yourself killed over it. Alice and I'll find a way to make do. Always have.
Okay. Did you get a look at the attacker? Did it look like a Chupacabra with a gun, perhaps?
Beg your pardon, mister, but
Yeah.
them two-headed beeves ain't worth getting shot over.
What the fuck is a bee?
Not to mention what would happen if half of what Nobark says is true. Best we can hope is that whoever's doing this will move on or get tired of it. I just hope.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Whoever it is, I don't think they're from around town. Seems like they've taken to shooting from the west side.
Okay.
So long.
Bye-bye. All right, so let's go see.
Time for a stakeout.
Time for a stakeout. Ooh, Atomic Heart. I've heard like very mixed things about Atomic Heart. Do you like it? Let me see. So, wait. Let me make sure I have the quest enabled. Like I have a quest for it now, right?
This is an unmarked quest.
Oh. So what am I doing?
Okay.
What's the stitch?
So every night around midnight, something from the west attacks these Brahmin.
Oh, this way's west. Okay.
So You might want to wait until around midnight.
How do I know what time it is?
T.
Okay, it's 10. Oh no, it's 8 p.m. Okay. Let's go. What? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Okay, now you will need
They'll come from this way, right?
Yeah, they will approach from the west.
West. Wait, no, that's northwest. West. Should I, like, be sneaking or anything?
You might want to, yeah. You might want to be able to see the west.
This is the west, right?
This is the west.
Okay. West. West. I don't see anything.
Just wait.
Wait. Wait, there's invisible something!
It's a chupacabra!
Nightkin! Ah!
Go investigate.
What is that? Is it a chupacabra with a gun? Oh, that's a whole ass dude. Wait. Oh, he's kind of ugly.
Why would you say that to the chupacabra?
Well, to be fair, like, the screams. What?
That's a holotape.
Huh?
He also has a minigun. I'm surprised you.
Yeah. What's the deal with the minigun? What's going on there?
Thor's ugly twin.
He has a thingy. That should. It's a stop sign. I love that. Okay,
I
leave it hydrate.
I don't know if you realize this. The Centurions, the Caesar's Legion guys,
Hmm.
they were wearing like plates.
Oh yeah.
So like, it's not the weirdest armor.
It's kind of nifty in
I like
a way.
how she's just
you know?
walking around.
She is just like, are you good?
The McBrides think some mysterious creature is shooting up their Brahmin. Gotta be somebody in town doing
Well,
it.
good thing I fucked them up. All right. Let's go back to what we were doing. We were doing something this way, right?
Well, I mean, you could go talk to Dustin.
Oh yeah, I should tell him that I. Oh no.
That one was dead when you got here.
Oh, okay. All right. I have found that can I like go back and tell the crazy guy that it was in fact a chupacabra with a gun? I kind of want to feed into his delusions. I think it'd be funny.
I don't think he listens to you.
I did my hydrate and posture check, I promise. Hi.
Find anything?
Yeah. What? Oh, here.
Well, I don't know how you've done it, but I do know how I can thank you. Please take this, compliments of Alice and myself. And help yourself to anything in that freezer over yonder. We got more steaks in there than we'd be able to eat in a year.
Hell yeah. Okay. 75 bottle caps and
So
unlimited
long.
steak. Sounds like a fucking... Oh, I'm accepted. That's nice. I'm a nice guy, okay? Now give me your steaks.
So this does refill with steak like once a week.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Free steak! Okay, fuck yeah. Alright, let's go back to what we were doing. Let's go this way. What were we doing? I forgot. I'm gonna be honest.
Test facility.
The Repcon... That's right, because I wanted to do the thing for the hot guy.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's go this way. And this is gonna... Can I, like, cut through that way? Yeah, there's road over there. Okay. Let's see. Cactus. I'm only doing it because the guy that gave it to me was hot, and it looked like he was going through something. So, you know.
Well, he was fighting with his best friend, but you didn't ask him about that.
Oh, yeah. I should have asked him that. I don't know. Do you believe in our Lord and Savior, Adam? I don't know what that
He
is.
hasn't played those games.
What game is that?
It's from Fallout 3, and there is a reference to it in Fallout.
Oh, yeah. I kind of remember that. This is like
no, the DLC. I've read
Wait,
about it.
yeah, I don't think we played the DLC for Fallout 3. Listen, the last time I played Fallout 3, it was how many years ago? I think it was like 6 years ago. We couch co-opted like 6 years ago, right? And I don't remember jack shit fuck all about this. Actually, this is my first Fallout game in like forever. So we might go back and play Fallout 3. Maybe I will learn. Degenerates like you belong. No! No!
Now hold on, you can't come preaching Adam's peace and then also you can't do
Pick a struggle, bestie! Enter the facility and discover the source of the ghouls.
You did just walk. Oh, excuse me. You walk past some ammo boxes and stuff in there.
What? Okay, let me go find that. But welcome it. Okay, let me see. Oh, free real estate. Okay, metal box. Not that. First aid box. Hell yeah. Empty syringe. Ooh. I could do more drugs. Let's see. The will of Caesar is due to Adam and his will ass all connected. I just, my little normie brain can't handle, oh shit. Can't handle it. That pile of ash was a person? What's that got to do with me?
At some point it was. It's not anymore.
Yeah, it's not my problem.
Could have been a cool.
Get incinerated on your own time. Don't drag me into that. Let's see. I'll take these, I guess.
It's energy weapon ammo.
Okay. Wonder glue. Did you ever hear that story about the girl that, like, hot glued her pussy?
What?
Yeah, me neither. Anyway. Oh, wait, it has loot? Oh, okay, now I care. I don't care about human life, but I do care about free shit. Where's the...
It's outside of there. Right, turn around. Back the way you can. Left.
Left.
No, not that far left.
Left.
No, that's even further.
Oh, wait, right. Okay, right.
It's right there. You're looking at it.
Huh? Oh, okay.
Oh, it was... Okay.
Huh?
I know what this was.
What was it?
Don't worry about it. You'll learn.
What was it?
That'll learn you. No one tell her.
No
spoilers.
What does this say? Speed limit 25. Well, good thing I can't read. Okay, so let's go. Oh, whoopsie. Oh, it kind of looks like. Oh, there's a rock. Oh, there's dudes over there. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna be a good noodle this time, and I'm gonna shoot him real good. Okay.
Yeah, you might want to reload.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm gonna get the drop on him. So here's my big boy strat. Okay, my big boy strat. I'm gonna go around town, and I'm gonna get the high ground. Okay, I have the high ground, Anakin. Okay, hear me out.
Are you going to use the weapon with infamously long range, the 10mm SMG?
The what now?
I'm making a joke that you're using a short range weapon in a long range situation.
I did not need your negativity, sir. Dear, what are the long range weapons? I don't remember. Wait, what does the millimeter mean? How big is a millimeter?
That's just the bullet.
Is this a good one?
Sure.
Okay. I'm trusting you. You wouldn't steer me in the wrong direction, right?
Never.
Wait, are they naked? Why are they naked? You kind of look like... Did y'all ever see McDonald's' knockoff E.T. movie Mac and Me? These motherfuckers look like Mac and Me, bro. What the fuck? Have you seen Mac and Me, chat? Look up Mac and Me. It is so... it's a shitty... Like, McDonald's tried to make their own E.T., and it's so shitty. Look up Mac and Me, because these motherfuckers look like Mac and Me.
If you have Amazon Prime, it's on Amazon Prime. I highly suggest watching it.
Okay. Wait, do you think I could get a grenade over there?
I don't think I don't think Pingus's little noodle arms can reach that far.
Yeah, so for those of you who just came in, I have 3 strength and 87 gun. I've been putting all of my skill points into gun. So those are some Mr. Meaty looking motherfuckers, bro. Can I have the, oh my god. That's
Mac and Me.
That's Mac. Oh, I got him. Oh my god, I got him. Chat. Oh. The booty.
God, even 12% shots, I gotta get you to play XCOM or some shit.
Bro, I'm killing it out here. Another one! Yeah! Yeah! Gun! Okay, this is why you put all your points into gun. You don't need any other skills. All you need is gun, okay? Can I, another one? My luck is like killer, bro. Put that shit in there.
So hit percentage for this is based off of perception. How?
That's it. They don't call me Eebee Games for nothing, because boy howdy, I'm gaming. Oh shit, I almost took fall damage.
You gotta go buy you a lottery ticket or something. Jesus Christ.
I mean, listen, all I'm saying is I'm just that good, you know? And if you just don't respect how good of a gamer I am, then I don't know what to fucking tell you. Fuck on you, that's 1%. Listen, oh, there's another one. All right, can we get one more? One for the crowd, For all, this one is for the ladies. All the ladies in the chat. This one's for you. Wink emoji. I missed again.
The resource price.
Shut up! The ladies love me! The ladies, hi Dova! The women love me!
Damn.
That's what happens when you question my raids, okay? Fuck off! Suck my cock and balls! Okay.
I don't think you want that thing's mouth anywhere near your cock and balls, I'm gonna be real.
Don't talk about my cock and balls. What?
What?
Oh my god. Welcome in, chat. Welcome in. Once again, proving the point. There is truly no good time to enter an Eebee game stream. Also, I'm still stealthing. Whoopsie. Is there any other bad guys? Let me see. I want to go in the rocket. I want to go to the moon.
I don't think you can go into that rocket.
Well, fuck that. Okay. Wait.
I think you'll like.
Oh, there's more. There's more icky dudes here. Hold on. I'm hidden. I'm looking at my thing now, dude. I'm looking at my thing now.
You're learning. She's evolving.
Yeah.
By the way,
Okay.
you might want to reloading at those last two.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay. I'm hungry. Can we get Taco Bell later?
No.
Aww.
I'm paying $500 to have our cat neutered. I don't got any money. Yeah, you.
Aha! Okay. Easy fucking money. All right. Anyone else? Jetmir's here now, by the way. Everyone say hi, Jetmir. I think we just go in. She's learning? No, I thought this was possible. Listen. You underestimate how much of a gamer I am. Oh, what?
Are you listening? Go to the big room.
Why are you
on the
talking
east side
like
of this
that?
building and take the metal staircase all the way up. And hurry.
Who are you?
Who I am doesn't matter, smooth skin. Stop wasting time and get up here.
He kind of sounds like a prostitute that's been smoking like a pack a day. Like, come here, sugar tits. Like,
I can't explain to you why yet.
There's a glory hole on the second floor. You know what I mean? I'm getting that kind of vibe. You know?
You're being very very dismissive of other cultures.
What?
You'll understand soon.
You can have a glory hole anywhere, David. They don't discriminate.
Oh my god.
Anyway, where are you?
You'll meet
Like I said, find the metal staircase in the big room on the east side of the building. It's where they used to make rockets.
Rockets. Okay.
Let's hope
Got
you
it.
do.
Okay, well, I did not need the sass, mister. Okay. What?
Do you remember what size of building it is?
Oh, no, I forgot already.
Okay.
Yeah, what side of the building was he on?
You can ask the intercom again.
Oh, he's gonna bully me so hard,
What's
bro.
the problem, smooth skin? Big room, metal staircase, east side of the building. Is that too many syllables for you?
Is that too many syllables for you?
Yeah.
Get
Okay.
one.
Okay.
East is one.
East. Wait, this is west.
That's south. That's west.
East. Okay, east. If I say it over and over again, I won't forget. East.
North.
Shut up. East.
Southwest.
East. Shut up. East.
Watch out for the bear trap.
I'm not stepping on the bear trap. East. Stay east. Okay. Oh, you're dead as fuck. Not west. East. Should I take the plasma rifle?
It's an allergy weapon. You have no skill in it, but if you want.
Okay. Oh wait, now I'm
He has a
overcome.
bottle cap. You didn't take the bottle cap.
Oh shit. Bottle
You got
cap.
$1.
Good for him. That's east. Do I go in here?
Maybe.
Oh, he's dead as fuck.
You need to do this thing called exploring.
But I'm afraid.
And unfortunately, this is one of the things. I'm gonna shit on Skyrim for a second.
No.
Unlike Skyrim, where every dungeon is essentially a corridor that loops around at the end, this is actually a building.
I don't know how to make my way around buildings either.
Listen, I know you get lost in the Skyrim corridor dungeons sometimes. So.
Yeah. What about it? Also, I'm over encumbered. Hold on. Can I just do more drugs?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
Why don't you drop the...
I'll have a squirrel on a stick.
Okay, you can also drop the minigun that weighs like 45 pounds.
Oh, that might...
25, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, that'll
also
do
the
it.
plasma rifle.
Gaslight Gatekeep
Yeah.
Girl Boss.
Holy Tree, thank you so much for the follow. You know, Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss. Welcome to the stream. I'm trying to remember where east is.
So I'll ask you, you went to the east side of the building and you...
Wait, now I'm north!
Yeah, so you didn't find a big metal staircase. Now why do you think that might be? You think maybe you're on the wrong floor?
Oh. How do I get to the right floor?
Go back down.
Okay. Going down. Going down. Hey, Jester. Huh? I don't like that noise. I don't like that.
Oh, bear trap! No, you almost stepped right in that. I forgot that was there, actually.
I don't. Why? Can I make a joke?
Yeah.
That's what good pussy sounds like. I'm sorry.
With her feet.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the entrance.
West.
No, that's the entrance.
East. Okay, this door.
That's
east.
That is bathroom.
Oh fuck yeah! More toilet water.
It's broken. There's
No!
You did walk right past the first gate.
Oh thank fucking Christ!
Oh god, it's 18 red. No, stop drinking the piss.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. Yay. I don't want purified water. I want my water with flavor.
No. Okay, go through that door to the right.
We've met some of the people
left.
in here. Huh? This one?
That one.
Okay. But that's northeast. That's not east.
I know.
Why didn't he say it was northeast?
It's on the east side of the building, not walk directly east.
I'm very literal, okay? That's... come on. Yay! Okay. Let me in. Oh, this way? Aha! Anyone in here? No. Ooh, safe. Okay.
I forget that all these locks are easy. I would assume that they would start throwing some medium ones at you at this point. That's weird.
Yeah. I'm not complaining though. Let's see what's over here. Oh wait. What's this? Oh, okay. That's just what? Huh? Where? Get out of here!
He was here first, to be fair.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, you know what?
No, now we're just going west.
Wait. Fuck. Okay. East. Wait. This is where I came from. Yeah, because that's the bathroom. Okay. East. If I go around, then maybe it's still east. Big metal staircase. East. David, there's no staircase.
I know. Keep going.
East.
Keep exploring. You'll get there.
Wait,
eventually.
this is the same place.
Yes, it is.
East.
You've looped around.
East.
Don't go back downstairs.
Oh.
You've already explored downstairs.
Okay. We will go not east a little bit for the purposes. Oh fuck! There's no juice in that. Hold on.
You know, you're close range. This could be a good. Or the counter.
Yay! Okay. Where are they coming from?
All over. I think you've got most of them.
I killed that guy. Should I go in the doors?
Yes, sometimes opening a door could lead to a new place.
That's crazy.
There are sometimes rooms behind doors.
Okay. Oh my god, he sounds like me when there's no Zaza.
What the fuck?
I need to stop making jokes about like doing drugs, because then people are gonna actually be like, so Eebee, how often do you do black tar heroin? Shit. Okay. You need to leave. Okay. Let's see. Well, that's a staircase, but it's cut off. Staircase. Oh, you're dead as fuck. Staircase. Oh my god, where are you coming from? Up there? No. Staircase, please. I just want to go for I want to find the man on the intercom. I want to be a good noodle. Staircase! Did anyone have, like, kids at their school that snorted Fun Dip?
Was that a thing in every every school thing.
I think so. Yeah, and they thought they were like going hard as fuck. They did with the pixie sticks too, like Lapwood said. Oh my god, this takes forever! Stop crippling me!
I'm gonna be real. I don't think my parents ever let me have a pixie stick, and I think they're just like, listen, if you're gonna eat candy, but that's literally just sugar in a tube.
Sometimes when I eat pixie sticks, I eat the paper too. Is that weird?
You're not supposed to do that. That's weird. Reload.
You're being very judgmental today, David. And I don't know how I feel about it. Whoa! Wait, what's this? It's glowing. Hi, Floof! Welcome. I snorted pixie sticks, it stings. I believe it. That probably hurts like shit.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine it's pleasant.
Ah! Okay, I want to switch to shotgun, actually. That would make more sense. Ah! Okay, there we go. Alright, let's go. It's been a while. Well, don't worry. I'm still the same stupid bitch.
Stop. Turn to the right.
But there's a guy. Oh, that's the staircase. Okay. Stop being alive! Stop! There we go. I grew up with candy cigars, so we'd pretend to smoke. We didn't have like candy cigars or candy cigarettes.
Those were illegal by the time we were born.
Oh yeah. Are they still illegal?
They're in the U.S. at least.
Interesting. Did people like actually try to smoke them or some shit?
No, the idea. Well, I mean, I'm sure someone tried to light the tip of one of them on fire, but the entire thing is. Oh, the game crashed.
Huh.
Fallout New Vegas is
a game. I did want to finish this quest. Okay, well.
Oh, you're not gonna finish this one.
Oh, I'm not. Because I was considering ending stream soon. I'm gonna be real with you.
This is a long
my
quest.
phone just fucking died. I think we'll just. I kind of want to see where we leave off at least before we finish up for the day because. Bebo. Let me see.
Vegas is a perfect game with no bugs whatsoever.
We went a very long time without a crash though, considering how long it took us to like fix certain issues and shit. You know, someone did 9 things in the bathroom, got caught another time, and some students smoked a bong and passed it around during class. I feel like that's kind of like typical. You know, what was like what weird shit did kids do? You know, like in your school. That's what I want to know. Like, did anyone like shit their pants? I can't wait for Fallout 4 New Vegas. Did we talk about that last time we played this game about there potentially being like a sequel or something?
Oh, they're never making a sequel.
That's right. I think we talked about why or something.
They're never going to.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, right back to the beginning.
Well, gamers, thank you so much for hanging out on Eebee Game Stream. I'm gonna be real with you, chat. I do not want to do that all I can right now. So I think this is a good chance to quit. I also am very hungry.
I will speed run this.
No, I can do it. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to do it right now. You know what I'm saying? So, but someone I knew snorted Cheez-Its. Someone thought it was fun to have a gun trade? You had gun trades at your school, Jingle? What? What? Okay, that's
we had a kid get arrested because he had a shotgun for hunting in the back of his car.
I think we had that happen a few times too.
That's honestly like not that unusual where we're from though.
In high school, me and the guys would take group poops at 2 p.m. I feel like that's like normal. Like you don't shit with the boys. Like if you don't shit with the boys, then you're not loyal. You gotta shit with the boys, you know? But gamers, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. We hadn't done a Fallout stream in like forever, so I was really glad that we did this. Did you have fun, David?
I'm thoroughly traumatized.
Yay! Guys also want to see each other's dicks. Well, yeah, it's just bro, guys being dudes, you know? Yeah, we do be shitting. Chat, do we be shitting? We do be shitting. But gamers, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Oh, thank you, Jingle. I appreciate you so much. So, if you want to keep up with me and whatnot, I do have a Discord. Here's my other miscellaneous social media, the Cursed Bird app and the Clock app and all that shit. We are streaming again tomorrow if you are new here. Hi, my name is Eebee Games and I stream 3 times a week, but next week I'm also gonna start streaming on YouTube. So my new streaming schedule is going to be Wednesdays is Wolfsborn Wednesdays, Saturday is Fallout Friday, Sunday is Skyrim Sunday, and then Friday on YouTube is gonna be whatever the fuck I want, essentially. So I hope you guys will come see me on my YouTube for my YouTube debut. But we are gonna wrap it up for today. Let me see, and let me do, where's the thing where it's like stop all raids or whatever, so no one like comes in and tries to raid me while I'm trying to raid someone else, because I'm gonna feel really awkward. Okay, so I feel like there's something else. Oh, yeah. If you want to see the beginning of the Fallout playthrough, that is here. And let me go and see who is live right now.
Do you want to talk about what's happening next Saturday?
What's happening next Saturday?
The campaign.
Oh, David, tell us what's happening next Saturday. Because next Saturday, we're actually not going to have Fallout. And David's going to tell you why.
Yeah, okay, so assuming that by next Saturday my computer does not explode again, that entire trilogy.
Yeah, David's computer exploded. That was really awkward. Oh, shit.
We are starting a Pathfinder campaign that I am DMing here with a couple of other VTubers.
Some of which you might know.
Yeah, some of which you might know, and some VTuber adjacent folks.
Yeah.
So
there are people that take voice lessons with me.
We're gonna be doing that every other Saturday.
Yeah. So
I will still be around on Saturdays, but it'll alternate between Fallout and the Pathfinder game.
So that means that some Saturdays we're gonna have Pathfinder and some Saturdays we're gonna have Fallout. So if you're confused which week it is, just check the schedule in the Discord or on Twitter. All right, let's go raid Vera. Vera is doing her partner applications, and I submitted an application, and she said that I had Riz. So if Vera says that I have Riz, then surely it must be true, and you all just have to trust me that I have Riz, okay? So we're gonna raid her. We're gonna do Riz raid. We're gonna do Eebee Riz raid. I think that sounds good. Eebee Riz raid. Okay? Alright, gamers, I will see you tomorrow for Skyrim Sunday, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Bye-bye!